Handstand walks, right? I'm going to teach you, I'll give you 4 or 5 progressions to be able to take you from not being able to do any handstand walks to being able to do that. So let's go. So first thing we're going to need is a box, and what we're going to do is pike shoulder taps, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to get in a position that's very similar to being able to do a pike handstand push-up. Placing your feet on a box and try to walk so that you're fully stacked in this position here, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your same arm and same shoulder and move side to side. Again, it's basically the exact same way that you would do regular shoulder taps, but you're just doing them in an inverted position. Now, one of the number one things here that you want to think about, or in fact there's 2, one of them is making sure that whenever you have one hand on the floor, you're gripping the floor as much as you possibly can. And then the second thing is that when you ever lean into one side, you want to make sure your hip follows that. So I'll demonstrate that again. There's no graceful way of getting off and on the box. Probably get pure bloodshot eyes. So when you're moving, or when your left arm is on the ground, you want your left hip to follow. Same with your right hand's on the ground, you want your right hip to follow. That way it's going to keep you a lot more balanced when you're upright. Because if you don't do that, what happens is when you remove one arm from the floor, you're just going to end up leaning into one place. So that's drill number 1. So drill number 2 is the exact same thing on the box, but this time we're going to do it upside down, right? Now there's 2 different ways you can do it, wall facing, and then you can also do it in a regular stance when you're when you're facing the wall or when you're facing away from the wall. Facing the wall is easier, so we'll start with that. You're just going to walk up, get into a stacked position, and then move side to side. So again, that's where that hip shift is super important. If you're struggling on this drill to completely bring your hands off of the floor to touch your shoulders, you can do this instead. Where you're simply just getting comfortable, leaning side to side, and then when you get a bit better at it, you can begin to actually lift your hands off of the floor. So that's drill number 2. Drill number 3 is the same thing, but this time we're going to kick up like a regular handstand. That's a bit better. Fuck, man. Right, so that one's actually quite difficult. I struggle to do it. But exact same principles from the box to the wall facing to facing away. One of the things that you also want to do whenever you're doing any sort of handstand walk variation is make sure that you're actually looking at your hands. That way, when you're walking, you're actually looking where you're going essentially. Whenever you're doing handstand push-ups, you want to like face away or face through. Whenever you're doing any walking variation, you want to make sure you're actually looking at your hands. So that's drill 3. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a side-to-side shift where you're going to do 5 steps left, 5 steps right. This again gets you used to actually moving your body through space. So, taking small steps left till you reach about 5, then small steps right again till you reach about 5. With these, you want to try and make sure that you reach out first and then in, rather than in, then out. Does that make sense? Yeah, so making sure that you reach out the direction that you're going. So if I'm going left, I want to reach with my left arm first, then bring my right in to meet it. That way it makes it a little bit easier to get across the wall. If you make 5 steps left and then you want to come down and then kick back up, you absolutely can do. So the next one is we're getting close to being able to do the handstand walk. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a little bit of a target. Maybe do this. So what we're then going to do is we're going to kick up before this line that I've created here with that little handle, and I'm going to do 1, 2, maybe 3 steps until my heels touch the wall. Now, what's very important is you don't just fucking throw yourself against the wall. That's pointless. What you want to do is take small, controlled steps, no bigger than a hand's distance away until you reach the wall, okay? Again, that's only 3 tiny little steps that's getting me close to the wall. Now, one thing that you'll notice when we're starting to do the walking part of the handstand is that you actually want to rotate your wrists out slightly, so they're kind of like 11 and 1, rather than actually having them straight on. When you have them straight on, what often happens is that you end up falling backwards, right? So I'll show you one more time. So the goal here is to try and take as many steps as you possibly can until your heels touch the wall. If you feel comfortable, you can then just slide this back a little bit further. Do the same again. Then you're going to get to a point where we reach the final thing, and that's just practice the handstand walk. All these drills and stuff like that are good, they're fun. Well, sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're not. But what they're fundamentally made or built to do is make you actually better at the handstand walk. But what often is overlooked is actually just practicing the thing, just doing the thing. I actually learned, probably Mark behind the camera, just learned how to handstand walk by just practicing it. You've probably done none of these drills, but you can handstand walk. Yeah. So actually practicing the movement is probably more so or just as beneficial as all these drills as well. So make sure you actually schedule in time to spend 10-15 minutes every other training session actually practicing the thing. Shite!